Welcome to Unclouded Eye, your source for the astrological forecast and some cosmic chit-chat. My name's Ashley Brooks.
Nice to meet you, Ashley. I'm Ty Cowan. I'm caffeinated.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, no.
A caffeinated tie is like a weird thing. I don't know if this is true for any of you out there, but all the Aries in my life don't drink much coffee or any coffee. And because they're naturally caffeinated almost.
Yeah, I just need a little caffeine hit today. And all it does is I have to remind myself that I stay tired. Instead, I start sweating and like there's no amount of extra energy. There's just franticness. So this might be the fastest topic we get through today.
Oh. Is it even a good thing that you're drinking?
No. And I only drink coffee or anything like that at an appropriate time cycle that I've forgotten that what it does to me. And then I drink it so I can get energy, reminding myself that I am sweating into my sweater right now.
Yeah, you seem really jazzed up right now.
I'm just pumped to talk about comets.
Okay, me too. Me too. Yeah, so we also have some of your Beanie Babies here on the table with us today.
Again, so like being caffeinated and likely having ADHD, I have like at least 6 projects going on at any time. And I recently cleaned out the closet underneath my staircase and found all of me and my brother's Beanie Babies, like all of them.
You let me pick out a few to put here on the table.
Definitely. You said we needed a bear, which I think is true.
I mean, these were the investment, supposedly.
This is the way to go.
I mean,
my brother was smart because he went with a soccer bear. This is his for sure.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we should be keeping the tags in plastic, right? The little protective cases.
And like, I'm looking at them over there in the corner right now, and they've been in like a plastic bag for 2, maybe 3 decades. And the ones I like the most, I ripped the tags off immediately, and I'm not going to be sad about it. I played that like with Beanie Babies a ton. Like, I never really collected them.
No, I played with them too, and I remember my cat even like laying on them and stuff. Like they were not going to necessarily bring in the money.
The money, right? And so these are out because I'm going to put them in a little vacuum seal bag and maybe give them to nieces and nephews later. You know, I thought that'd be cool. But who was your favorite?
Oh,
Everyone had a favorite.
That's really hard. I really loved, so you had a couple mini platypi over there.
From McDonald's.
Yeah. So I actually had every size because they had the regular platypus, then they had the mini platypus, and then they had the giant platypus. Like they made like these like squishy ones that were like big, and I would sleep with the giant platypus.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. So I loved Patty the platypus.
Patty, I knew you knew its name too.
I liked, let's see. Oh my God, I had so many. I actually ran a website for Beanie Babies.
You did not?
Yeah. So
what would you do with the website?
So my dad taught me how to build websites and code HTML when I was a kid. So
wild. Yeah.
So I used to help him because he had a web store where he would build websites for local businesses. Mm-hmm. So I helped him build the website for Aquaboggan, which is a local water park.
Oh, that's crazy.
Built like, so I built like stuff for like some restaurants and hotels and things. And so one of my early projects when I was practicing was making a website for Beanie Babies. So I had like a checklist of all the Beanie Babies so people could see what was there.
So you really had to stay up on inventory.
Yes. I had almost like, you know how like baseball card collectors have those like pamphlets that they would get that have all the values. I had those. I would get those mailed to me for Beanie Babies. So I was up on like the value of different Beanie Babies. And
incredible.
I would help connect people that like if somebody wanted one, I'd be like, oh, this person has said that they have this. Like this was before like days of certain forums.
Yeah.
So you'd connect people, like people would be like, I'm looking for this Beanie Baby. And I'd be like, okay, this person I know that wrote to me has this Beanie Baby and is looking to sell it.
So you were like running a beanie network at 12?
I was 9. 9? Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a weird kid.
No, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah. So I loved Beanie Babies. I didn't have like, the thing is I didn't have like the most massive collection because it's not like, wasn't like a rich kid or anything, but I had like like maybe 30, 40 that I collected with my own like allowance and
same
stuff.
Here. I had like maybe 20 or 30 or whatever.
It wasn't a bad collection, but there were definitely kids at school that I remember like had all of them. I'd be like, ugh.
It was weird too. And I remember the mall was always just like overrun with Beanie Babies, but you still had to get there on the release day.
Yeah, or you'd miss out.
You couldn't get the new one, but they'd have like tons of old ones.
Yeah, there were some that were like way more common.
And I was fine with the old ones,
Yeah, I grabbed the snake because I really loved it. His name's Hissy.
Did you see my favorite in there? I can't see it from here, but did you see Radar the Bat in there at all?
I have a Radar the Bat.
That was my favorite
Yeah,
boy. Mm-hmm.
that one I have. It's actually, I have it. It comes out on Halloween. Like I decorate with it for Halloween
cool.
season.
Perfect.
But the bears were great. If anyone doesn't know, the bears were considered the most valuable Beanie Babies. And they were like considered like the collectible items, and they were supposed to be worth like hundreds or thousands of dollars, which I don't think they ever appreciated that as much as people.
What about that
imagined.
Princess Diana bear everyone talks about?
Oh,
though?
that one
Did that one appreciate?
Probably, yeah. That one was purple and had like a white rose on it, and it was like a memorial Princess Diana bear.
Trying to see if there's
Let's do some like
stuff.
ASMR.
Right, there's those beanies. There we go. That's for the people listening to the podcast on Spotify.
Doing beanie ASMR.
Shake those beans.
Okay. All right. Anyway,
that's really cool to find out that you ran that website.
Yeah, it got me in a little hot water because I was 9 and no one knew it.
Yeah.
And so I didn't tell people how old I was. And so I ended up like brokering a couple sales where like somebody would ship me a Beanie Baby that I would then ship somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And I accidentally sold a counterfeit Beanie Baby. And I didn't know what to do. I got freaked out like that I was going to get in trouble. So I kind of stopped responding to this person's emails when I was like 9. And then I would still get emails from them being like, I'm like expecting a refund. They literally had no idea they were dealing with a 9-year-old child.
Uh-huh. Because if they did, all your business would have stopped immediately.
Oh my God. Well, no, I stopped doing any of the shipping and sales after that because I got so scared. I was worried.
I mean, like, you could have gotten in trouble.
I know
Yeah,
I could have,
like,
but I didn't know like somebody sold me I mean,
you know what? It beats mowing lawns like the rest of us were doing, Ash.
Yeah. I was.
You were an entrepreneur.
I know. It was weird. But yeah, it was like called like Ash's Beanie Baby Blitz or something was the name of the website. I don't remember exactly.
We got to find it on like the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, I bet it's out there. All right. So let's talk about the forecast for the week,
Yeah,
shall
what are we
we?
looking at?
So we're straight out the gate today. Mercury retrograde is starting, folks.
We're used to it.
Yeah. I mean, it happens literally 3 times a year.
I'm
Like,
not even afraid of it. After starting this podcast, I'm not afraid of Mercury retrograde
we've lived
anymore.
through it so many times. Every year that you've been alive, you've made it through 3 Mercury retrogrades.
You got to watch out for the Saturn retrogrades.
Those are half the year. Those are intense. Those can give dreams of fish tanks when Saturn's in Pisces.
That's right.
If you're going to have to listen to the last 2 episodes to fully know what we're talking about.
It was our first arc.
Yeah.
It was our first story arc.
Multi-episode arc. Okay, so Mercury retrograde starts at 9:42 p.m. Eastern time on Monday, the 25th. Beanie Baby just...
The Pelican Beanie Baby, for those not watching, just tipped over on its own, and it greatly distracted both Ash.
Yeah. So Mercury retrograde begins 9:42 p.m. So it's going to last until December 15th this time. It's going to be entirely in Sagittarius this season. It's not changing signs at all. Like last time we had it in Virgo going back into Leo. This time it's solidly in Sagittarius. And just, in time for the early holiday season. We love that.
Buy extra batteries.
Yeah.
This year with the toys that you buy.
Yep. So it's going to start at 22 degrees Sagittarius, make its way back to 6 degrees Sagittarius. So it's going to be in Sagittarius for quite some time. It's not going to change over until the new year. So we're in this energy. Now, Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. Sagittarius rules over travel. A lot of people travel during the holidays.
Yikes.
There could be a lot of delays, a lot of like missed flights, traffic jams, getting lost, almost like.
So go early.
Yeah, go early and maybe, be open to plans changing, plans shifting. Maybe you're going to have to stay in a different hotel than you thought because they overbooked. Like there could be some stuff going on with travel.
You're going to have a Hallmark channel adventure trying to get home for Christmas.
Yeah, it's like very Home Alone, like somebody's got lost at home, like someone got forgotten.
Kevin's not on that plane to France this year.
No, he's not. Kevin's lost in New York. So thankfully this only lasts till December 15th. So it's more affecting American Thanksgiving and like early December. So this will be over by, I'm not sure when Hanukkah falls this year, but it will be over for Christmas and Kwanzaa. So Mercury retrograde, yeah, again, this is mostly impacting travel and movement specifically. So less about like communication this year, unless it's communication regarding travel, then it's going to get affected. So
Sounds great.
it's great. We love it. Okay. Tuesday, November 26th, we have the sun trine the North Node at 1:32 p.m. Eastern Time. This is really a nice and beautiful transit that opens us up to new opportunities, new insights, and helps to open doors for us,
Okay.
like in metaphorical doors, although maybe literal doors.
Way easier to do. Just reach out and grab it.
No, somebody holds it open for you.
Oh, I'm like, oh yeah, you can open your own doors any time of year.
Yeah, I want that on a t-shirt.
Don't wait for the stars
guys-
to open your doors.
Okay, so caffeinated tie.
I'm sorry.
So the sun trine the North Node, yeah, this is going to open up some opportunities. We'll say it that way instead of doors. So there could be some room for change and are you adjusting the Beanie Babies?
There was a seed on this Beanie Baby that has been probably on this Beanie Baby for 25 years. I'm so sorry. Keep going. I couldn't leave the seed until after the episode.
So yeah, Tuesday is a great day for trying things that are new, kind of pushing out of your comfort zone and having new opportunities open up. Wednesday, the 27th, we have two transits. We have the sun trining Mars at 3:06 a.m. Eastern Time. Energy's higher this day.
Nice.
We could feel more vibrant, more ready to like get our bodies moving, being active, taking action and adventuring, trying new things. At 11:58 p.m., so the late hours of November 27th, we have Venus squaring Chiron.
Okay.
So
Bring it in right in time for Thanksgiving.
yeah, it could be some relationship stuff coming up.
Oh, did you say square trine?
Yeah, square.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Right in time for Thanksgiving.
Invite all your family over for the day that's like hampered
Yeah.
for bad relationship
So
problems.
because this is 11:58 p.m., it is going to go over into the next day too,
Of course.
which means that it could trigger some past relationship stuff. Like, so, you might be triggered by like Aunt Jackie, like she always like treated you like a child and now she's still telling you how to cook the yams.
You know what? So I think this year is going to be a focus on the food, not the family. based
Yeah.
on the forecast.
The thing is, like, it can help us to work through stuff like this, but it can also just make you aware of like, ugh, this relationship maybe isn't worth my effort right now. So just be aware there could be some sticky stuff coming up around that day. And then finally, we have one more transit for the week. Sunday, December 1st, we have the new moon in Sagittarius occurring at 1:21 a.m. Eastern Time. And this is taking place at 9 degrees of Sagittarius. And the Sagittarius new moon is really great for helping us to become a little bit more optimistic and to look at life in terms of possibilities and future planning. We might find this is a really good day for brainstorming, setting new goals for ourselves. And, it's the first day of the month. So it's got this very fresh feel to it. And it can help us with looking on the bright side, trying new things. And it's good for like solo adventuring, trying something new on your own and exploring. So yeah, that's the week. There's some yucky stuff, some helpful things.
Ironic that the yucky stuff is right about where you need there not to be yucky stuff.
I know. I mean, the stars just don't care about our holidays.
They don't care about pilgrims.
No.
Not one bit. Want to jump back up into the stars for my portion this week?
Yeah. What's our theme?
We're talking about comets.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, so I need your help a little bit about
Okay,
this
I'll do
one.
my best.
So I don't know how to phrase this, but how do comets affect astrology forecasts? Like, how would you frame that now versus how people or astrologers frame that in the past, I guess I would say?
Comets were a much bigger deal astrologically in the past, for sure. Like before, like around the age of like the Renaissance up through like more ancient times, comets were seen as a really potent, like heavenly event. And the way that people looked at astrology, it was less about personality types and how things are personally going to impact you. They were more about like there was like this heavenly dance going on overhead, and astrologers were here to translate it to show more like global effects or like trying to predict weather or crops or,
Okay.
it's a little bit more of like the runic stuff that you talk about. That's like more what old astrology, like really old astrology was centered around, more like spread of diseases and
Right.
like how are the crops going to do? And
Will
is
there
there
be a good
war?
harvest type of
Yeah.
thing? Okay, well, there's a comet over when I planted the grain
Right.
equals bad omen for the crops?
It
or-
doesn't, it was just a significant omen. So it depended on maybe who you would ask. There could be like really good fortune associated with comets. Before people really knew what comets were, they were very scary.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I imagine they would be.
Yeah, and so it wasn't until like the 1500s when people started to develop early telescopes that they could see these things coming. They became a little bit less frightening and more of like kind of like an opportune omen.
Yeah, cool.
So nowadays, I mean, a lot of the comets that we talk about are not coming around that much. So for instance, like Hale-Bopp we saw when we were kids, like that was like 1997. Yeah.
Did you see the one last month by any chance?
No, I didn't, but you sent me a picture of it. There was too much light pollution where I was.
Yeah, it was one that like, I mean, I just think it's so cool regardless, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Where I live, I had to do like a 3-second exposure on my phone in order to snag it, but I did, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, you got a really good photo of that.
But it was one of those things where it's like when you were looking directly at it, you couldn't see it, but if you looked off, you could kind of see a blur of the tail out of the corner of your vision. That's how faint it was, But
it's kind of like the auroras that we were seeing this year. Like some of them were more clear through the camera lens than they were through like with the naked eye.
That's actually how I like thought. I was like, to find this damn thing in the sky, I'm just gonna take a bunch of slow pictures and see where it popped up. And it popped up over a little farmhouse, and it was
cute.
Neat, like
we've seen some really great stuff in the sky this year.
Yeah, if you're not looking at them as all dark omens, like the solar eclipse and the auroras and the comets or whatever would have terrified our ancestors.
Yeah.
But.
So comets are considered very very potent times for sure. There's definitely like more of a spiritual connotation. Like astrology proper like doesn't super address the comets, or at least not like any of the branches that I have studied, but mostly just because they're not happening as frequently.
Yeah.
And I think that there are certain like especially the big ones. Like I know you're going to talk a little bit about Halley's Comet today. Like that when those happen, there is maybe more of an emphasis placed on them, but like we do see random comets coming through pretty frequently. So I don't think that that's like a huge thing that's kind of put in. But as far as like those super generational comets that are like very potent and very talked about, I think they kind of live on in like the consciousness of everyone. So that does impact us.
Yeah. Well put. Like,
thank you.
That's really great. You ready to dive into
Yes.
Okay. So I think it was honestly the comet appearing in the sky last month that kind of like triggered this idea for me.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about Halley's Comet because it's really well known, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that we'll just dive into it. I didn't realize it'd been around so long, which is such a novel thought that of course it has been.
Yeah. So it's every 75 years that we see it, but
yeah, and it's been doing this like as long as it got captured way long ago, by our solar system. So it is the only short orbit comet that you can see with the naked eye, which I think is really neat. So some of these longer ones that come through every, 80,000 years type of thing, like they can be bigger, but this is 75 years is like pretty short for a comet to show up in the sky.
Yeah, that's fast. It's making its way.
So its first documented appearance was by the Chinese in the year 240 BCE. And it returns, like you said, every 75 years. And this was really neat. I found that the comet was also documented in cuneiform by the Babylonians, both in 87, I think the year 87, and then in 164.
Wow.
So it's like you're getting closer to the year 0. That's right.
Yeah.
So I was doing that math backwards. But so the Chinese first talked about it. Babylonians then like inscribed it in cuneiform text. This
so cool.
Neat, right? So the actual credit for the discovery, even though like obviously the Chinese discovered it type of thing, or goes to Edmund Halley. He's an English astronomer who witnessed it in 1682. And what I thought about this was really cool was it was more than just writing it down. He used historical text to understand that maybe there's a pattern here in that this isn't multiple objects showing up every 75 years or so. Maybe there's an orbit. Like he was the first one to think about that. And so he predicted that this comet follows a reliable path and that if he is correct, it would be seen in 1758, and it was. And so that kind of locked. Like now we kind of understand comets, right?
Right. We get the pattern.
Right. And it's just huge for that time.
Yeah.
Astronomy was big back then, they were starting to make those discoveries. So this is really cool that he was like, cool, I have a thesis. Let's test it out. And we can do that within our lifetime, for 75 years. So Halley's Comet's core is made of dust and ice. And as it approaches the sun heats the nucleus of the comet, which produces gas that is swept away by solar winds. That makes the comet's tail. So the orbit for Halley's Comet goes beyond Neptune's orbit in its perihelion, which is where the closest point it makes to the sun before heading back out to space, actually occurs between the orbits of Mercury and Venus.
Okay.
So that's its track that it makes. It's also permanently retrograde, where it moves.
Interesting. It's like the nodes of the moon.
Yeah, they move in the opposite direction too. So there goes Halley's Comet as well. And it's not in retrograde, it's moving retrograde.
Thank you.
This is really neat. But they did. It's interesting to think about this because it passed by last in 1986, which is why I was looking for pictures of it, and like there just aren't, one of the first times we could have studied it, we had very rudimentary satellite graphics in the sky. So there's some blurry images of the comet itself, but we're coming up in 2065 that we'll really be able to study it again. So combine next.
I can't wait to be in my 70s and see it.
Oh, I'm going to love it.
Yeah.
Here's something interesting, though, that they're able to study its projection and based on the previous paths that it's made by something called two-dimensional photochemical mapping. I had to look up what that was because it makes no sense to me. But basically, it's this weird scientific way to better understand its orbit. And it's a mathematical guess that is forever hampered by something called the three-body problem, which means that scientists are able to only kind of predict what its orbits and its lifespan will be like because there's other gravitational forces acting on it.
Okay, yeah.
That have a predictability of unpredictability. That's the kind of the best way I can describe that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of factors that are kind of up for debate.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But because of its history and its orbit, it will take, or it already has taken, about 2,000 to 3,000 trips around the sun. And they say based off of their estimation of what's remaining in nuclear mass of it, it has about 2,300 orbits left.
Before it dissolves?
The center will dissolve, and apparently it'll just kind of break apart into pieces, and it won't orbit again. It'll just head into space forever.
To deep space.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so it's about halfway through its life cycle.
Yep, it's about halfway through its life cycle. And when you were talking briefly earlier about the different beliefs of comets astrologically, I found some stuff culturally that we believe about comets in general. And I think a couple things specifically about Halley's Comet. But like we talked about, they kind of got bad raps as omens sometimes. The Romans referred to comets as Sibylline oracles that could predict the future, while Mongolians referred to them as daughters of the devil, and they were bad omens.
Yeah.
Specifically, Halley's Comet got a bad rap as a dark omen. In Switzerland, it was blamed for earthquakes, illnesses, red rain, and an increasing births of two-headed animals.
That's crazy.
When it passed by in when it passed by in 837, the Holy Roman Emperor saw the comet as a sign of his imminent demise, in which he downfell. So there's that.
Okay, so yeah.
In England, it was blamed for bringing the Black Death because it appeared in the sky. And then in 1066, it was believed to foreshadow the death of Harold II, which I don't know who that is, making way for William the Conqueror to take the throne, which is a huge historical person.
Yes, that's right.
So for our astral chart today, though, Ash, I have something pretty interesting for you.
Okay.
So the person that I have for you to read their chart is known for being born under Halley's Comet, but also correctly predicting that they would die when the comet returned.
Wow.
Yeah. So dive into 11:30, 1835, Florida, Missouri, 4:45 a.m.
Okay. So I can't see the comet in this chart. I mean, we
know it's there, though.
We know it's there.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that going into it, so I couldn't really research where it is.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, this person, I'm glad we have a birth time because that's going to make it even more interesting. This is a Sagittarius sun with their moon in Aries, so very fiery, and Scorpio rising. So intense. Like this person has a lot of energy, a lot of passion. Like they take up space. Like they're fully there. You know, they're going to draw attention wherever they go. They have a moon and Pluto conjunction in the 6th house, which is going to give them a lot of depth of thought. They're going to be somebody who likely is very, very investigative, wanting to like go below the surface to understand things, but impatient when they can't figure things out.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
I could see this person being like frustrated if they can't get to the bottom of something. Being lied to would drive them absolutely bananas.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. That's cool.
They have a Sun and Mars conjunction in Sagittarius in their 2nd house. So that's going to give them a lot of physical energy. Like they might be athletic or just needing to move their body a lot, especially with that in Sagittarius. There's just a lot of physical energy that needs an outlet. And if it's not being given, they could have like a temper or be a little impatient. And they have Chiron conjunct Black Moon Lilith, which could have given difficulty with a significant like female in their life, like either like an overbearing mother or maybe like issues in like a romantic relationship. If this is male, if it is a female, they might have had difficulties with other females. Just could have been some like hurt or frustration coming from a feminine place.
And I don't have any information around that.
Well,
I wish I did.
If anyone knows anything, like after this is revealed, let us know.
Because that's a big one.
Okay, yeah, this is significant. But the thing to keep in mind, too, is that that's generational. It's more...
yeah, it's funny you say that because you kind of think that about just people in the 1800s anyway. You know, like
a bad... Yeah, exactly.
Bad relationships are born in the 1800s.
So yeah, like the 1830s might have been some like sexism or I don't know. I don't want to say that. I don't want to put this on this person because maybe they were lovely, but there could have just been like some difficulty with a feminine presence. We'll just put it that way.
Okay.
It's really funny. 2 weeks ago, we did Leonardo DiCaprio's chart and he had no earth in his chart. Mm-hmm. This person also has no earth in their chart.
Oh, that's weird that there's a double dipper.
Yeah, it is weird. So they've got plenty of air. They've got, I mean, they have their North Node in Taurus, but that's not like a planetary body. It's just a placement. So
you can't diminish it, though. That's the dragon's head.
Yeah, it is the dragon's head. But they had no earth like with which to work from. So they were supposed to kind of maybe move in an earthy direction because that's what the North Node represents, is the direction you're supposed to move into.
Can you, when I read their biography to you after, can you maybe comment on that at the end to see if they were noting in the right direction?
Yeah, that's a good thing to note right now. Note. So yeah, there's not much earth. So this person might have been a little bit ungrounded, really head in the clouds kind of energy, a lot of passion, a lot of verve and vitality, but not very patient, not very steadfast, and maybe like making decisions more out of like heart and mind than like, you know, like what's the responsible choice here?
Wait until you see where all the places they lived.
Okay.
I think because of that.
Yeah. I mean, people without earth in their chart do tend to be a little bit more nomadic, like, you know, either by choice or by kind of destiny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You ready to dive in?
Mm-hmm.
This is the birth chart for Samuel Langhorne Clemens, a.k.a. Mark Twain, who you referenced a couple weeks ago.
Oh, under one of the famous Sagittarians.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't know he was born on the comet and he died on the comet?
Yes.
What?
Let's get into it. That's what hooked me here. You
Okay.
know, like,
I mean, yeah, this is a great topic. Good job. Good find.
thank you. We're going to dive in. I was so pumped to bring this one to you to get your.
Yeah, you had a different theme planned, right? Was this for Mark Twain too? And then you were just, you found a better theme?
I was going to go into, he had interesting religious ideas or whatever. And that was so boring to me that when I found like this, like, fact, I just dove. I was
this is perfect. Okay.
Where are we going to go? So Mark Twain was raised where he set his famous story, Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn, actually after one of the Haunt Me trips that we went on that was in Missouri. We were driving our way back and we stopped at the Mark Twain house.
Oh,
and,
wow.
it was really cool to see. Like, it's right by the steamboat on the river, on the Mississippi. Really cool experience. So we've been there. A couple of us have been there. Growing up, 3 of his siblings died at a young age, followed by his father at 11 years old. Mark Twain left school in 5th grade and he became a printer's apprentice.
Okay.
So just 4 years later, he starts contributing articles and humorous sketches to his local newspaper. He's starting to get a taste for it.
Wow, he's just a teenager?
Yeah,
cool.
Who would have been like 15, you know? Then at 18, with little education, he begins to move from different large cities, very nomadically, like you pointed out, where he's working as a printer while he goes to these cities. But what he's really doing is that he's holding himself up in these large cities' public libraries. So he's just consuming information for free because he left school at such a young age.
That's interesting because he has that like Mars and Sagittarius, which Voltaire had last week, I believe, too. So there's that like passion for interest.
They got to soak it up.
Yeah, they love to learn.
That's so cool. Over the span of 200 years, they both have the same trait.
Right, but like traveling to learn it, like not just staying at home, you know?
And it's not just to passively learn. It was like he sucks up information where he goes. So he's trying on a bunch of different, I guess, roles at this time. So he became a steamboat pilot on the Mississippi River. You can kind of see where the context of his stories come from. But he can't stay in one place for long. He then moves to Virginia City to try out mining. Didn't love that. So he ends up in San Francisco. He becomes a journalist again. He's working at this paper, and in 1867, they pay for him to travel to the Mediterranean Sea and travel Europe and the Middle East for his stories.
How do I sign up for that?
Right, exactly. Like,
what?
Amazing, because he's getting his travel itch on, and he's going to new places and he's learning stuff. Like,
what a dream for a Sagittarius.
Literally the best thing you could do for that. Someone with the astrology reading that you just put out there.
Yeah.
So he returns home in 1868, where he ends up falling in love with Olivia Langdon after a long pursuit and much refusal on her part.
Maybe that's what we're seeing with the like scorned by a woman.
I was wondering that.
Yeah.
So he didn't
give up.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He really liked her though. So it's like, that's why I didn't see the negative aspect of it. Unless she was just like, stop, leave me alone. Finally, which
is kind of creepy. Hopefully it wasn't quite like that.
It seemed pretty like they were okay together.
Yeah. Okay.
Because through his wife, he was able to meet abolitionists and women's rights activists like Harriet Beecher Stowe and Frederick Douglass.
So cool.
Yeah, like amazing celebrities of that time.
Yeah.
Right? So his travel and worldview expansion helped influence the next page of his life, where he moved to Connecticut in 1874 and then stayed there for the next 17 years. And that's where he wrote all of his popular books, like Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah.
So in interest of time, because I was in this for a while, I'm going to just do some fun Twain facts.
Okay.
Because he had a full lived life in these comet phases. So he had a longtime friendship with Nikolai Tesla and loved his experiments.
I love Tesla so much.
He would just sit in Tesla's lab at nights and watch. Like, that's what he wanted to do. I mean, that was their friendship.
I would too.
Oh, same. Absolutely.
Yeah, sign me up.
So I read that he was also a huge proponent for the invention of fingerprinting long before it became popularized. And he even writes about it used as a forensic device in his book, Pudd'nhead Wilson.
Okay. Wow. I've never even heard of Pudd'nhead Wilson. But...
shout out to Professor Tuttle. I read it in college.
Oh, okay.
It was great.
All right.
So the book also helped popularize the technique, which we still use today.
That's amazing.
So Thomas Edison visits him at his house later in life. And there's actually a video that you can see from one of Thomas Edison's very early inventions of Mark Twain standing on his threshold in his famous white suit, not really knowing what to do for about 5 seconds of video, and
Yeah.
this is in the 1800s, right?
Oh my gosh.
So cool. And then he never graduated from high school. He didn't pass 5th grade, but he at the time of his death, he had 5 honorary degrees from colleges. And then lastly, because we love a secret society on this podcast.
Yes, we do.
He was given honorary membership to Yale's secret society, the Scroll and Key Club, in 1868, which we should probably do an episode about.
Yeah, we should.
So bringing it back down to the end of his life, the comet's coming back, right? Twain fell into a long-time depression after his wife passed away, and he lived several more years after that, but never really mentally recovered.
Yeah.
And then in 1909, he's quoted as, "I came in with Halley's Comet in 1835. It's coming again next year, and I expect to go out with it. It'll be the greatest disappointment of my life if I don't go out with Halley's Comet. The Almighty himself has said, no doubt. Now here are these two unaccountable freaks. They came in together. They must go out together."
I just got chills. I love it so much.
So the following year, the comet blazes brightly in the sky, reaching perihelion on April 20th, 1910. And the following day, Mark Twain left this world, passing away from a sudden heart attack at age 74. And that's Mark Twain.
That is the most epic thing I've ever heard.
He's amazing.
I literally have chills all over. That's incredible.
Isn't that a crazy story?
To predict your own
Just
party.
wanted it.
No, I get it. Like if I was born on Halley's Comet, I mean.
What a quote too,
yeah,
right? What a cool guy to hang out with.
Oh my gosh. I want to hang out with him and Tesla. Like that's.
For real. I want to hang out with Twain and Voltaire.
Yeah, right? Oh, I love it. I love it so much. Oh, that was super fascinating. I liked that one a lot.
So that's your story of Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens, and Halley's Comet.
Wow. Wonderful. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And thank you all for joining us. And we're going to get through this Mercury retrograde together.
I'm ready for it this time.
Yeah, I'm okay. I don't think I have plans to travel, but I mean,
You know why I'm ready for it?
What?
Because I have the unclouded eye.
Oh,
that's right.
Love that.
Cue credits.
Love that. Have a great week, everyone. Unclouded Eye stars Ashley Brooks and Ty Gowan. It's produced and directed by Nick Nordfors. Music by Ashley Jane Cecilia and Jay Caron. Our community manager is Erin Cross. Our art is by Dawn Aquarius. And we are presented by Haunt Me Official on YouTube. Follow Unclouded Eye at Unclouded Eye on Instagram and TikTok, and Unclouded_Eye on Patreon. Special thanks to Zoph Delnaki and Christina K for your support.